Good morning. Today you're listening to ConnectCast, brought to you by PrintPlace.com. Today we're here with Ryan and Cherish from Elevation Church, based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, that has 10 different sites, including their Charlotte, North Carolina location. Today we're going to be speaking about the voice of your church and how graphics and communications and design and content all play a vital role. Cherish, who's been the project manager in the creative department, and Ryan, who is the communications director and lead designer at Elevation Church, are joining us today, and they're going to tell us a little bit about how your voice can be communicated effectively through design as well as content and other means. So, Cherish, would you like to start and tell us a little bit why, communicating through your voice is so important in today's church media world?
Yeah, I think for us it's always been about unity. How can we make sure that from Pastor Stephen down to a volunteer that we can stay unified and all be behind the same mission? So our mission statement is so that people far from God will be raised to life in Christ. And so how do we stay unified under that mission? And so I think that's why voice is so important to us, is that we remain unified, and we're all moving towards the same mission.
Okay, great. And how do you do it in a church that has over 10 different locations? Ryan, can you tell me, how you make that work so well and so fluidly? I've seen some of your print work, and I have to say it's awesome. So I'd like to know what goes into all of that.
Appreciate that. Yeah, there's a lot that goes into making sure 10 different locations stay on the same page. Most of us are located in the Charlotte area, but we even have extension sites located in Virginia and Sacramento and Phoenix, Arizona. So outside of our regular locations, being able to communicate in the same way really helps us, like Cherish said, stay on the same page and stay unified and move towards the same mission. To make sure we do that well, we really try to centralize all our communication. So everything that is produced in our other locations all is centralized from our main office here in Charlotte. So we have a team of writers and designers who are working on projects that aren't not just for our churches here, but also for our different locations around the in areas.
And can you tell me, what all has to go into consideration when you're trying to work that out? I mean, do you hold weekly meetings, monthly meetings? I mean, tell me a little bit about that process.
Yeah, sure. So for a lot of our projects, we'll meet together. Cherish will be in those meetings, and our design team and our writing team will get together. And just to make sure we're all on the same page, we'll kind of have an overview of what the project is and kind of get on the same page with language and focus and make sure everything is moving in the same way and talking in the same way.
Yeah, we also have, we act like an agency does. So our model is kind of like the other departments within our church. So our children's ministry and our groups ministry, they submit requests to the creative department. And then that's kind of my job, is to kind of filter those and say, okay, what can we, is this mission-minded? Is this going in the direction that we want it to go? And then that's when we schedule those meetings to actually sit down and talk through their request and what they're wanting to communicate, make sure that the purpose is clear and that it does move the church forward, that we're not just doing something to do it, but that there is a purpose behind it. So we talk a lot about the why behind what we're doing and what are we doing? We're doing this so that something can happen, so that we can invite people. Whatever it is, depending on the project request. But so they submit requests to us, and then we filter through those, and then we actually have meetings with each of our clients to discuss their projects. So and that's a time where they can really get a designer's input and Ryan's input for copy too. What do you want this to communicate? So people don't write their own stuff. They might have bullets or like something that they want to communicate, but Ryan ultimately and his team kind of filter that, and they actually write the copy themselves.
Okay. And Cherish, let me ask you another question. How can graphic design express the voice of the church? I mean, your design looks awesome, but
Hmm.
how can it express the voice?
Yeah. I think Ryan's probably more better to answer that question. But I think we have like style guides. We have certain fonts, certain colors. We have um, certain even companies that we kind of model after or we look to, and we're like, okay, that's kind of what we want to do. But I think it's important that even between language and design that you are communicating something, that it's not just a piece to like look cool, it still has a purpose behind it.
Yeah.
I don't think we just create to create, but maybe Ryan can speak to that too.
Yeah, I think our design is as important as our language is to our brand. Branding and using the word branding in church is kind of foreign, but for lack of a better word, we do have a brand that we represent, and that's Jesus for us. So doing that with excellence, and being able to represent that to a people who don't go to church and don't understand exactly what the church world is like, or how this is different from a different church, or why this isn't what they think church is. Being on the same page with our language and design and making sure those are both presented well at the same level, at the same quality, really helps us present a strong brand kind of to our audience.
And what unique challenges might you come across in expressing the voice? Are there ever any unique challenges that you face?
Yeah, I think because um, we do model like the client agency model, but we're different that as a creative department, we're still under the church and we still have the same mission as everybody else. So I think one of the biggest challenges we have is we don't like to say no to projects. We want to say yes because we want to help the church. And so really, having to make those hard decisions of, well, we want to help you, but we can't do this at this time. Um, just because of a bandwidth, or we don't have um, the hours in the week to do it the way that we would want to do it. But I think we try to act like a yes agency, that we can do it. It may not look exactly like the client wants, but we always try to say yes when we can if it's going to move the church forward. So I think for us, it's just we don't, we're an agency, they're being paid and can say no easily. For us, we all want to say yes because we want to help the church. So I think that's one of our biggest challenges. And I think personal preferences, I think when you're, sometimes we don't always agree with what the client wants. And so sometimes we just have to accept it and do it because it's going to be helpful to them. But we don't necessarily always like it. So.
Absolutely.
And I think too, when it comes to preferences, being able to stay on the same page and be mission minded and kind of know, like, okay, well, if this is all together our goal moving forward, let's make sure that this isn't just something that I want to do or something that you want to do, but let's make sure this benefits the church as a whole based on what our mission is.
So
Yeah.
you're saying making sure that it's not man-made, but
Hmm.
God-made.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. How many members do you have currently at all of your churches combined? Do you know that, or how many people attend? Your main location.
Yeah, we,
Yeah.
we have a pretty decent idea based on the weeks. It ranges somewhere between 13,000 and 15,000 between our 10 locations.
And how do you make sure that the printed items that you create reach, the your intended audience?
I
You go,
think what
you go with that one. Distro,
uh,
that's you.
we do, it just depends on the initiative because we do different initiatives. So we might do something live from stage where a host, um, is talking about the next series. And so they're going to say on the way out, you're going to receive an invite today. And we try to make our invites conversation pieces so that they're not just, a piece of paper that someone gets and throws away, but it's something that they can engage with a person with to invite them to church so that it's just making it easier for the person receiving it. So we do stuff like that. We do web initiatives. We just started doing these text initiatives at our local, like the individual locations. So we're giving the campuses a little bit more freedom to do what is helpful in their area or whatever they need, because all of our locations are very different, and they all have different needs. So I think we're kind of branching out. That's kind of new for us. It used to always be we're doing this invite for every location, and now we're seeing what works in the different areas of Charlotte and GTA and how we can equip them better. So we are getting a little bit more where we're doing more individualized marketing. But I think overall we still do handouts for our church wide. We do a lot on our web and social media to push marketing forward in that way. I don't know, Ryan, you have anything else you would add to that?
Sounds great.
No, Cherish, the last time we spoke on the phone, you shared with us that, a lot of people focus on design, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that conversation?
Yeah.
Can you just tell us again here what you said during that call?
Well, I just know for us, and this has been a shift in the last year. Like it was, we still do. We want to make great looking stuff, and we want it to be forward thinking. We want it to be innovative. But I think we're learning that the message and the copy, and whether that's copy on a print piece or a video script or a motion graphics piece or whatever it is, I think we're learning how much more important that is to figure out first. What do you want to communicate? What is the message behind it? And then move forward with the visual part of it and let the copy inspire the visuals.
Absolutely. I think your exact words, and I'm paraphrasing here,
Yeah.
was that, a lot of people spend a lot of time making sure the design looks good, but they don't invest the same amount of time into the copy. So
Yeah.
you have a design that really looks good, but sometimes it might not say much.
Right. Yeah.
We were definitely guilty of that early on, for a few years, where the designers would see the copy as just a design element and wouldn't really read through the copy, or wouldn't really have okay, we'll make sure that this design serves this copy well, or is this copy even directed towards the right audience? And over the past few years, we've been able to really focus in and say, okay, these are both equally as important, and the message is actually even more important than the way it looks. Good design can look great, but if it's not communicating anything or not communicating the right thing, then it's kind of pointless.
Absolutely. It's that really good eye candy, but if it doesn't say anything.
It's not really fulfilling, yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So, if you were able to talk to some of the churches they might be in their growing stages right now, what would you say to those churches that are looking for, a good basis to make sure that they're doing the right things to build their church?
I think one of the most important things we have in place are good systems, and those definitely we didn't start with good systems in place. We had it was a little too rogue when we first started, to where people would just come to me and I'd make something for them, or I'd forget about it and it wouldn't get printed in time, or over time we've been able to say, okay, well, if this is really going to succeed and outlive us and be able to not just be a person dependent operation, then we have to really build good systems that say, okay, well, no matter who you are, if you follow these steps and guidelines, then we can make sure that that your pieces are done well and done on time and done accurately. So I think that's been one huge thing for us.
And I think your ability to reevaluate those systems too, like what we do now is not what we did, 3 years ago, because our team is, tripled in size. But your ability to I love when we get new hires in our department, because I can say, what are we doing that doesn't make any sense to you? Because a lot of times you just get in the process and you just do things because you've always done them that way. And you don't realize I'm wasting a lot of time, or this doesn't make sense anymore. So always being willing to reevaluate what you're doing, so that you can keep moving forward. And then the other thing, just is filter everything through your mission, for one, and then also for each individual project, make sure you have a purpose statement behind it. If you don't know why you're doing this, and make sure you can communicate that to the designer. Because if a designer doesn't know the purpose behind what they're creating, it's going to be very hard for them to come up with something. But if everybody is clear on what the purpose is, it makes it a whole lot easier on everyone, because everyone can go, they can filter everything that they're making, everything that they're writing through that purpose statement.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And, as we begin to close out here in just a few minutes, I want to express to you that y'all are doing amazing things over there at Elevation in Charlotte, and continue to do what y'all are doing, because it's working and it's spreading the word. And that's what
Thank you.
That's what we're all about. So what I'd like to do is give y'all the opportunity to share your website address, your Twitter, any sort of information that you'd like to share for our viewers and listeners.
Sure. You can find our church online at elevationchurch.org. You can also connect with us on Facebook at Elevation Church. Twitter and Instagram, we both have those handles as well. And then personally, you can find our creative work at, what's the studio website? Cherish, do you know? Probably should know this better. We actually don't market ourselves very well. It's one of our personal problems as design team. But now you can find us at Ryan Sworth, RyanSworth, and then at Crush73. That's
Okay.
our Twitter handle.
Awesome. And as we're going out, we're PrintPlace.com. You can follow our blog at blog.PrintPlace.com. Our Twitter handle is at PrintPlace, and you can find us all over Facebook and YouTube as well. So you've been listening to ConnectCast, brought to you by PrintPlace.com, helping churches connect with people and spread the word. See you next time.